Hello my friends, this is DongDong again. Yes, you're right, it's DongDong. I cut my hair earlier today. Yesterday I saw a girl with the same hairstyle and I liked it. So I was thinking, why don't I just do it myself? And I did it. Today's video is a bit different. It's the first time I do book recommendation. These 6 books inspired me a lot. All of them are non-fiction books. They will help you when you are feeling stuck. If you're ready, let's get started. The first book is Counselling for Toads, a Psychological Adventure by Robert DeBord. This book consists of 10 counseling sessions of Toad with his counselor Harry. This book uses easy language and the characters from a famous children's book, The Wind in the Willows, to talk about the fundamentals of psychology, how you become who you are now and why. The day before I read this book, I was being mean to Joe and myself. I was sulking for a whole day for no obvious reasons. After reading it, I was like, okay, now I understand why sometimes I was such a bitch. I was able to analyze my feelings and view myself more objectively. I believe everyone can find a bit of themselves in this book. If you want to learn about yourself and how to control your emotions, this is a book you don't want to miss out. The second book is famous, called Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. It has some viewpoints that are controversial for religious people, but because I don't have religious beliefs, I find this book quite eye-opening. Growing up, I always have some doubts, like, why are there so many social rules? Who made them? Where did the concept of country or government come up? What makes going to school and going to work a must? If you have the same questions, this book might clear the fog for you. It gives me a new approach to view this world with a historical perspective. Simply, it made me less cynical. The reasons why we constrain ourselves to the so-called rules are also the reasons why human beings became so powerful and amazing. It also made me think, I am such a small and transient existence on earth. What I can do is just to live my life to the fullest. The third book is called Minimalism, Live a Meaningful Life. The authors are 2 good friends, Joshua and Ryan. It was my first touch on minimalism and it changed my perception on it. I thought minimalism meant throwing away everything and living off a backpack. But no, minimalism is a tool to help you get rid of distractions, focus on the core things valuable to you, and achieve happiness and freedom. This book has a special meaning for me. At the time I was reading it, I was at a low point. I was in Hong Kong doing a headhunting job, which basically is a sales job. Every day I would cry to sleep and the next morning I had to drag myself out of the bed. I hated cold calls and going out to sell, but I convinced myself this was what I needed to do to make money. After I got enough money, I would be able to get myself out of the rut. Guess what? A few weeks after I read this book, I quit my job and I decided to leave Hong Kong. And I became so much happier. If you are not satisfied with your current situation, read this book. It might encourage you to make a change. If you are struggling to find your passions for life, I recommend the following book called Ikigai, Giving Everyday Meaning and Joy. It was written by a Japanese author who lives in America now, named Yukari Mitsuhashi. Search Ikigai online and you will find a colorful chart about how to find your ideal career that you can be paid for. But that's a Western interpretation of this old Japanese concept. As the book explained, Ikigai is as simple as what gets you out of bed every day. The highlight of the book for me was at the end of the book. It had a list of questions to guide you through a self-reflection. You're likely to find a certain pattern or a theme about your answers. This is my worksheet. I wrote down all the questions and answers so that I can refer to whenever I want. Through answering all the questions, I was able to understand myself more and discover what's truly important to me. I hope this book will help you find where your passions are, live your everyday life with a reason and motivation. The fifth book is a memoir called Wild, From Lost to Found on the Pacific Crest Trail by Cheryl Strayed. It tells the story of her 1,100-mile hike on PCT after her mother's death and her divorce. It was a journey of self-discovery. Compared with the 4 previous books, this one is the most interesting to read. It has 2 storylines. The stories happened on the hike and the past events that led her to this hike. This book shows how powerful we can be with faith and perseverance, and how powerful nature is to heal our pains. A lot of us have some kind of trauma in the past. The best way of cure is not to lick your wound over and over, but to accept it and move on. After reading this book, I had an impulse to hike on PCT. If you have been there, let me know. Also, this book was adapted into a movie starred by Reese Witherspoon. I recommend that movie too. Okay, the last book, which is also a memoir, also a memoir called Educated by Tara Westover. This book is very different than I expected. I thought it would be an inspirational story about Tara's pursuit of her PhD, but it was much more intense. Tara was born and raised in the mountains of Idaho by a radical and survivalist Mormon family. Her father kept his children out of school or hospital. Her brother was abusive and violent to her, but her family never stopped it. She thought it was alright until she got to university by self-study at the age of 17. That was when she started to learn about the outside world. The environment she grew up in was extreme. Throughout the book, I felt constantly upset and angry. But it's also amazing to see in the end how education was able to change Tara's perspective and help her break free. This book taught me if I ever feel stuck in other people's opinions, or if I find myself repeating other people's words, then it's time for me to get out, read, charge myself with knowledge. That's when I'm able to find my own voice. Okay, these are all the 6 books I'm going to talk about today. If you have read any of these books, tell me your view on it or your story behind it. If there's any other book that inspired you, you want to recommend, feel free to comment down and we can discuss together. Finally, I love you so much. I read every single comment on my last video and I'm so touched by your positive energy and feedback. Thank you all, and I hope you have a great reading day or night. I'll see you next time. Bye!